Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's watch party for In Search of Darkness Part 3. As always, I'm Andrew, and I'm joined by Dom again. Welcome, Dom.
Hello, everybody.
That's great. Okay, so today we're going to be watching we'll call it the Unloved, the first part of our two-part, I think we're referring to it as Turkey in March season, where we are going to watch a couple of unloved movies out of large franchises. So this week we are watching A Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2, and I'll see if everyone else can guess while I'm just going through the usuals, getting everyone ready. So just say we've got our friends joining us over on YouTube first. We've got James Hellier, Mehmet Minas and Retro Hawk, hello there. And over on Discord I can see we have got Chaos Fear, Lizard Man, Sharon, Brainwire, Mad Matt, Icy Matty, Calbot, Onzi, Eric, and Phonic, and Edward the Black Prince, and Bikies. Welcome to us. Welcome to everyone. It's great to have you all here. I can see Soul Search and Destroy has joined us as well over on YouTube. Hello. So everybody, while you get ready for us to start the film, because there's different releases of this film depending on which country you're in, etc., or how old your copy of the movie is. Today's sync point will be, in my copy, it's about 19 seconds in. It's just as we see the yellow school bus turning around the corner, just as the movie starts. So in mine, it's just after the new line logo is faded in. So just when that yellow school bus is starting to fade around, drive around the corner even. So let's have a look. Oh, and I can also see that Dougie Lee Curtis has joined us over on YouTube. Retrohawk says Part 2 is one of their favorites. So aside from, I just realized something, Dom, if you look at that still we've posted, that school bus is about to be hit head on by a flying DeLorean.
It is. It definitely is. I'm also noticing all the cars, like the different widths and sizes of them. Like,
yeah.
That's a European car. It has to be the tiny white one at the front there, in front of
the... That white one is a Golf. I think it's a Mark 1 Volkswagen Golf. Great little car. Anyway, Dom, so obviously this film's older than you. We've established that from previous watch parties. How do you feel about Elm Street 4? 4? 2 even. Let's talk about the one we're watching today.
Elm Street 4 I like. Elm Street 2, I think I prefer to Elm Street 4. My favorite Elm Street movies are 3, 1, and 2.
Mm-hmm.
I really like Elm Street 2. It's a different kind of Elm Street movie. It is, in my opinion, the most frightening Elm Street movie.
Yep.
And I remember as a kid being the tough kid that watched all of the R-rated movies in the playground, and I was like, so this Elm Street film franchise, this Freddy character, I know all about him. He's spooky here, he's spooky there. And I remember showing a lot of my friends Elm Street 2. I wasn't allowed to go to friends' houses often after that. I was the kid who brought around his stack of VHS tapes that I'd pinched off my brother and sister, and I'd just waltz in and say, like, let's watch this. But occasionally the parents would walk in and be like, what are you doing? And I wouldn't be invited back.
I can see from our community, we've got official Rob Williams saying, let's go. And Mehmet Minas is saying Part 2 is super underappreciated and I loved it. Retrohawk saying the only one I don't like is 5. And Soul Search and Destroy says Dom was the OG Dream Master.
Pretty much.
You'll take that. You'll take that one.
Take that. Yeah,
okay.
Title.
Go on, Dom. You like this film. Let's there we go. So you start us with a countdown.
Okay. So, press play in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Press play.
There we go. Now, we're hearing something that's quite different from a lot of the other Freddy films going forwards, when normally they start with an almost like a rock video, because we have Dokken in Dream Warriors, of course, and, you know, we have Running for My Nightmare in Tuesday Night in number 4. Number 5 has some music, and I can't remember much about that one. But I can see we've got Jacob Marriott. Welcome, Jacob, saying, I love Elm Street 2. Mark Patton is the ultimate scream queen. He is brilliant in this.
He has an amazing scream. I envy his scream power.
Ah, Hannah Rose
Oh,
has now joined us. She
Gallagher
was
as well.
chatting in the wrong Discord channel. Sparky John's joined us, saying in the opening sequence, the bus driver is Robert Englund without his Freddy makeup. But
I
this
was
is
about to say, who is that
Ah.
driver? He looks familiar.
What I like though is this is such a different film from the sequels. They didn't have the formula they sort of developed with Elm Street 3. It has this kind of weird horror movie music, but it's fairly typical 80s horror music.
Yeah, it's very stereotypical horror film from the era as well. Which is interesting because the Freddy films, the Nightmare on Elm Street films, keep calling them Freddy films, they do have a formula, like you say. They have a rhythm to them, and they all have like the beats that they need to hit. And this one does feel segregated from that.
It does.
Back when this came out, I mean, I grew up knowing all of them essentially, but back when it first came out, there wasn't a formula yet, like you said. So they did what they could with what they had, and I still maintain it's a pretty darn good film.
I really enjoy this this film. The one thing that really stuck with me was the cover of the VHS tape for this when I was growing up, because I used to rent tapes from a local newsagent in the UK. So newsagent being like a corner store, for those who aren't familiar, like a local run corner store. They popping up in the 80s, lots in the 90s. Lots of them had racks of VHS tapes, and you could rent them from them. And I remember the tape for this being that I always thought Freddy was a farmer, because I didn't know before I knew what Nightmare on Elm Street was and what it was all about. It was, I'm hoping someone on our Discord can even post it. The artwork was, it was like a very kind of soft cartoon of Freddy wearing the hat, the sort of the hat and the jumper with the glove, holding it up. And honestly, I thought he was a farmer for some reason.
I actually remember talking to my sister at one point in my life after seeing this film, and asking her about the school bus when I was going to high school. In England, there isn't a school bus that just picks you up like there is in all the American films I watched as a kid. And I remember asking her, what happens if Freddy's my driver on the school bus? I think at that point she realized she may have let me watch too many movies as a kid.
But again, this is such an iconic thing. I never took a bus to school anyway, because I lived too close to school, so we walked. But I can see from our friends over on YouTube, we've got Jose Cruz saying Nightmare on Elm Street 2 is definitely very good and very different. I love the party sense at the end of the movie. Retro Hawk says the bus scene is iconic. Dougie Lee Curtis says Meryl Streep is amazing in this. Okay. And Soul Surgeon Destroy says the fashionista in me loves the girl's jewelry. It almost distracts from the fact they're about to die horribly. And Sparky John's right, that's the cover I remember.
Oh, let's have a look at that then. Let's see that cut. Freddy the Farmer. Good old groundskeeper Freddy.
Willie.
This nightmare scene, actually, whenever I think of Nightmare on Elm Street, this screenshot, like, of the bus barely teetering on two pillars above hell, is the first nightmare image that comes to my mind. Shortly followed by Part 3, Dream Warrior, Puppeteer, Freddy cutting the strings. But I would say though,
this is definitely one of the more memorable kind of, as you say, one of the most memorable kind of stills from the film. I would say as well, though, looking at Freddie's hat in this scene, it's actually a little bit different.
Yeah, the costume is fairly different, especially from later parts, but he does look more battered and worn and beaten and more terrifying, more like a homeless Freddy.
In the sequels, his hat's more of a fedora, and this is more of, I think you call it a pork pie hat. It's slightly different. It's more kind of more rounded at the front.
Yeah, more rounded. Oh, the iconic glove.
I love the way the dad's like,
Not again.
oh, I don't know about the appropriateness of the cereal on the table anymore.
Yeah, definitely not. Can you imagine waking up that sweaty?
Yeah, maybe
I
not
want to
that
shower just
sweaty.
thinking about it.
It is pretty terrible. Oh, but he is drinking new Coke. That's why he slept, had a bad night's sleep. You look, there's a can of new Coke in the corner there.
Cola. New Coke.
Oh.
What other great 80s horror movie, which did turn into a franchise, was Clue Gallagher a big star in? Audience members. I'll give you a hint. It contains the undead. Call Rhonda. I used to have something pretty much like that on my phone in the kitchen as well when I was a kid, like a little chalkboard.
Dom, if possible, could you turn your mic volume up just a little bit in your Zoom for us? Is that possible, please?
Oh, of course. I'll bring it closer as well.
Oh, that's maybe a bit much, Dom. Down just a smidge.
Just a smidge.
There we go. How's that?
We'll go to ASMR mode.
Oh, lovely. Oh, who remembers cereal with pieces of plastic children could choke on?
Yeah, actual toys in the cereal that were dangerous when... That would always be the first thing I'd do whenever I get like a box of cereal. I'd just rip the cereal out and find the toy. That couch was horrible.
Okay, Hannah Rose has a question here. Now, this is really interesting, Hannah. I can actually answer that for you. What did New Coke taste like? Because you were maybe too young to remember it. Well, New Coke was actually the same formula as Diet Coke was at the time. However, instead of the NutraSweet sweetener, they added high fructose corn syrup as the sweetener to it, and that became New Coke. I watched a documentary over the weekend about that, so that's what I know about it. So, just offhand.
Your odd flex about knowing about New Coke formula.
Yeah. Oh, James says, deafened by Dom.
You're all welcome.
Now, I think you'll agree with me, Dom, here, as a Brit, these kind of school sports lessons or gym lessons are so alien to us.
Pretty much. Although my school, the 90s was an interesting time where England was desperately trying to emulate a lot of America in the schools in particular. So we did have softball, and I am left-handed, meaning I was king at softball. Every right-handed pitcher desperately tried to pitch towards me, and they kept hitting me in the shoulder. Thus, I'd always walk to first.
So Mad Matt saying, I didn't spend the 70s beating the Pepsi challenge to be rewarded with New Coke. James Helly says, Andrew's mastermind specialist subject, Coca-Cola. I am drinking some Coca-Cola. Oh, my camera is doing that. Oh, there it goes. It's going to do it again. Let's have a look.
I have the superior product,
Pib. Oh.
There's like 7 or 8 fans of Mr. Pibb in the world, and I'm one of them.
I haven't got any left in here, but of course, my other thing I do drink quite a bit of is the infamous Scottish drink, the Iron Brew.
Oh, good old Iron Brew.
Wonderful.
I'm getting vibes of Karate Kid with the...
I am too, but also, why are there 30-year-old men in high school?
They're all the 30-year-old teenagers.
They are. Retrohawk wants to know, what is Pib?
What is Pib? Pib, some say, is the nectar of the gods. Others say it is essentially Dr. Pepper, but a wee bit spicier. It's the only way I can describe it.
Retrohawk, yeah. Iron Brew, yeah.
I wonder how many push-ups they did to make their form this diabolical.
Oh,
and
definitely.
Again, they're super sweaty.
Mm-hmm. And we're seeing one of our... we're seeing Robert Rustler there, who, of course, joined us in Search of Darkness Part 2.
Did anyone find the clue? Oh, yeah, there he is, Sparky John. I'm not sure if anyone pointed out Clue's other role earlier. But Sparky got it.
That's right. He was also in Weird Science.
Mm-hmm. This also brings up complicated timeline discrepancies with the first movie, because I thought everything rewound itself and was fine.
Well, plays a bit hard and fast with the continuity. But then we've got Rainbow Fright has just joined us. Welcome, Rainbow Fright. Great to have you with us over on YouTube. Soul Search and Destroy says, wasn't it common for teen movies to star adults? Wasn't one of the teens in Ferris Bueller's Day Off really 28? Yes.
Mm-hmm.
It's like if you go forward a few years, if you watch the movie Batman and Robin, Chris O'Donnell was actually collecting his pension playing Robin. He was a 65-year-old man cast as Robin in that film.
Pulled it off well.
Yes.
He has good moisturizer. I'd be furious if someone in my household left a glass bottle, precariously balanced against the fridge, so that when you open it, it shatters on the ground. His patience is clearly better than mine.
Yeah.
Very good lighting in this movie.
It is good lighting.
Shadows.
It's got a much slower, I'd say it's got kind of a slower build than a lot of the other Elm Street films.
For sure. It definitely treats the Freddy mythology as though no one knows it. And probably because it is the first sequel.
But then it does kind of tie in with the stuff we hear about in the later Elm Street movies about how the parents have done their damnedest to reduce the stuff about Freddy to basically be urban legend at most.
Mm-hmm. Don't you just hate it when your underground neighbor starts burning stuff in your basement?
Yes. Creepy neighbor. And of course, Dom, let's not forget that the real Elm Street house. I know some of our community members who joined us for the premiere of In Search of Tomorrow, the actual house used for the exterior shots was just around the corner from the theatre.
It was, and is guarded by a security guard that chased some people away.
That's right.
Which is odd. I believed that they were okay with folks taking pictures, but apparently not. So if you do go to the Nightmare on Elm Street house, be aware. It is a residence where humans do live, so please be respectful.
So here's the thing, Soul Surgeon Destroy says, sorry, typical obstructive parents making things worse. The irony is by protecting your kids, you set them up for death or for failure or death by Freddy.
It's true. It's truly a Sophie's choice caught between a rock and a hard place. Do you tell your kids about this horrible, creepy person and risk bringing him into existence like Santa, or do you try your darndest to protect them by...
This is another one, and this is really unusual that we don't see much body horror with Freddy himself in a lot of things.
True. One of the iconic ones, though, is him lopping off his fingers.
Yeah, his fingers and stuff. But that's played for joke, isn't it? Really. Oh, Terrasil has joined us. Welcome, Terrasil. So, question for everyone watching: did you have any of these kind of? Well, Bay Ramiro, welcome over on YouTube. Did you have any of these weird urban legends about your your sort of areas you grew up in, or schools, or anything like that? Let's see what you got, and I'll read some of them out. Anyone's got a good sort of urban legend that they're not making up? Do you have anything about your school, Dom? School
Not
legends?
my school, but my mum worked at a GP practice. Still does, but
okay, at a
she worked at GP practice.
Doctor's office. Remember, we got
Doctor's
American
office.
friends joining us.
Ah, yes. And
are you talking to your wife,
neighbor,
Dom? Translations.
I need to. Yeah, I need subtitles. But the next door neighbor was a very wealthy individual, and he passed away in his house. He was a bit not all there. His marbles were short a few, and apparently he booby-trapped his house with a shotgun, landmines, and several other dangerous Home Alone kind of things. And there were rumors of people going in and unfortunately meeting their demise, thinking that he had Goonies-style treasure hidden somewhere.
Okay, I'll go with that. I'll tell you some ones from my schools. Soul Search and Destroy says, in my college town, we had Goat Boy, plus a cult with women who sacrificed each other in the local lake. It was awesome. Okay.
Was it?
I don't know. Sharon said, I walked by a haunted house every day from school, according to all my friends, that is. And then Mad Matt says, there was a creepy house where we would ride our bikes faster to get past for no reason whatsoever. Oh, that's a classic one. We had a couple. We had, what do we have? We had a girl in my school who bumped her head walking through a doorway, but by the afternoon, she'd been taken away in a helicopter, allegedly, and her brain had been hanging out because she'd cracked her head. But it started because one of the teachers said she cracked her head open, which is a British phrase for basically saying you've got a nasty cut on your head. But it was taken by many of the kids to mean she was taken away in a helicopter. Her head had been cracked open, literally, with her brain coming out, and there was blood everywhere.
Did all the king's horses and all the king's men come together to put it together again?
Pretty much. And then the one from my primary school, my second primary school, because my first one closed, was we had a swimming pool that closed. The school had a swimming pool attached to the building, and it was closed, and it had been closed for over 20 years. And the legend was a girl died in there. She died in the pool. She drowned in the pool, so the school had to be closed forever. And when you looked through like the dirty windows of the swimming pool, you'd see some brown, murky water in the bottom of the pool.
It was her blood.
Yeah, sadly, the reason was they just couldn't afford to run the pool. So not the real reason wasn't as good. We've got Dougie Lee Curtis over on YouTube saying, I grew up down the street from where Ed Gein lived murdered. We didn't need urban legends. Icy Matty says, I'm a paranormal investigator. We've had a lot of creepy stories. Sharon says, I used to work at a hotel that, according to legend, was haunted by a jilted bride on a wedding night. I worked the night shift, but never saw any of it. Sharon, that reminds me, we should do a high spirits watch party at some point.
Oh.
We haven't had enough Steve Guttenberg for a while. Oh, Dom.
We haven't. I don't have the cap, unfortunately.
No. But he's still got the same Pepsi can untouched from earlier.
There's probably a reason for that. I don't have those glasses either. I could probably close a drawer that way, though.
There we go. Terrasol saying, my childhood home was an around 250-year-old villa, which had been a school as well as a bank. The attic was creepy and hell and noisy too. A friendly ghost lived behind one of the fireplaces. Legend is he was a janitor at the school. Jacob Marriott saying, time to dance, everybody.
Exactly. Time to dance. Embarrassing that Mom had to bust in just as he...
Just quickly, look at the sign on the door. The I is written over in tape. So what? So it now says no out of town chicks. What's under it? What vowel? Chacks? Chocks? Chucks?
Checks?
Don't know.
Cash only?
Checks. Yes, sorry, American check.
Yeah.
They spell check SHCHECK, so it could be from like a retail establishment. There we go. Thank you, Terrasol. It's all right, the Britishness in me was confusing me. Thank you, Dougie Lee Curtis, as well. And in probably the most sinister story I'm going to say today, of a creepy, well, not even an urban legend.
More
My
than
parents,
Ed Gein?
I don't know, it's quite creepy. My parents, when I was growing up, we had a man who would come and cut the lawn one summer, and then he stopped coming. And we wondered what happened to him. Because it was before everyone had a phone, of course, and it was, he didn't have a phone. It just stopped turning up. I wonder what happened to him. Found out a few weeks later, he'd been arrested for killing 2 people with an axe in a robbery.
Oh. I'm guessing you thought it was strange you were chopping your lawn with an axe. And
he was using my father's Qualcast Suffolk punch mower to do it. But it was a terrifying one of those mowers. If you don't know, the mower he was using, though, wasn't one with the blade on the bottom. It was one of those ones where it's called a cylinder mower. It has a series of blades that would spin violently in front of it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm okay, Hannah. Thank you for your concern. There may be an axe murder in the garden, but
a funny follow-up from my Goonies-esque escapades for the GP's practice, the doctor's office. Years later, it expanded, and I ended up working a few shifts at that office as well. But it expanded over the grounds of the Goonies house, and there were moments where I was working the night shift, closing up, and the elevator, the lift, would randomly ping and go upstairs, and I knew there was no one up there. Then I was like, huh, why?
I would say they've done a good job doing the house up since sort of the fire in Elm Street 1.
Strong structure, clearly.
Jesse's getting very sweaty again.
I mean, when your lamp melts, you know it's hot. The attic I lived in England had no insulation whatsoever. So in the summer, there was no escape from the heat, and it would be like this.
Yeah.
When my vinyls would all melt.
What I would say to most of our American friends watching is, until recently, and probably for the most part still, British people don't have any air conditioning in our homes.
No need. It's always freezing and raining.
Except for those sort of 2 weeks of the year where we get, yes, the 1 or 2 mystery weeks and days we get where it's sort of 30 to 30 plus degrees in the UK, 30 plus degrees Celsius. Yes, not Fahrenheit. And it's like trying to sleep in an oven.
Because it's so humid, you can't escape the heat. That's why I moved to Vegas, where the humidity is like barely existent. But you're right, this is a much slower burn. We get little peppers of Freddy.
I mean,
it gives us a lot of time.
We're over a third of the way into the film now.
And everyone's alive.
It's not been really any proper murders or anything. No one butchered up by Freddy that we've really seen.
Can you imagine if this was the first Freddy movie?
That's a really good point.
If we didn't have part 1, calling it part 1 sounds so strange, and this would be everyone's introduction to the mythology, I think it would still work. It would be a different franchise, maybe not even a franchise, but this adequately introduces people to the mythology.
Yeah.
Surprisingly well, actually. It could be a standalone movie. Maybe that was one of the creative choices in making this film, to treat the audience as though, even though it's a part 2, treating them as though they hadn't seen the first one, which is equally odd because the first one was such a huge success. I suppose having Freddy be as limited here, yeah, people coming in for the first time probably would be like, what is going on? So maybe I'm giving it too much credit.
This is something that we saw in, we saw this kind of theme, some of this theme expanded upon in Freddys Dead: The Final Nightmare, which is whereby Freddy would use a conduit in the real world of one of the Elm Street kids, because his powers originally were restricted just to the Elm Street kids.
Oh God, yeah, Freddys Dead. Yeah.
Yes. Retrohawk has a good question. I wonder how it would have looked if it was a Wes Craven movie. And Soul Search and Destroy says the slow burn in the beginning works considering what Freddy does later in the film. It is. It is a slow burn, but then when Freddy gets going, he's on a roll. Yeah.
I can't get over the 30-year-old high school kids.
Yeah.
What's the worst nightmare you've ever had then, Andrew?
So I'm just confused why that one's got a shaving mirror in his locker in high school.
He's 30. He needs to shave.
Yes, sorry. Sorry, do you say nightmare or dream? What was your, sorry, Don, your question?
Nightmare. What's your worst nightmare you've ever had?
I would probably call once an Inception nightmare, where I kept waking up, thinking I was waking up and I wasn't.
Oh, that's horrifying.
Yeah, that was a bit tough. I think the best, like I say, the best way, probably an Inception nightmare where I was trapped. No matter what I did, I just thought I was waking up and I was still in my dream. That was bad.
I think my worst sleep experience, because it's barely considered dreaming at this point, it's sleep paralysis. I woke up, I couldn't move.
Yep.
I heard a whispering from behind me saying, "It's okay, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay." And I was like, "Oh, that's odd. It doesn't feel okay. I can't move." And I saw the shadow like kind of creep away. So my mind was still cooking up some dreams, and I was like, "Please move. This is horrifying."
So we've got a couple of things here. We've got the audience saying, we've got Spagjon saying his is dreaming of being covered in spiders. That'd be quite terrifying. Now, the one I'm going to tell you about is a sleep experience I did have that wasn't, I'd say, so much of a nightmare, but it was in a way. It was a nightmare for me, but I was awake in the real world. I'll explain. Okay, so some people know and some people don't know. About, 21 years ago now, I had a serious accident at home and my left foot was crushed very badly. It was actually crushed with I basically broke and crushed every bone in my left foot. So I had to have surgery to put my foot back together, basically, where they had to drill through my foot and put metal wires through all the bones in my foot to hold everything back into place. So, of course, I was under general anesthetic. I'd been asleep in the hospital. I was in the recovery room. I woke up in the recovery room, and the best way I can describe it was I'm hooked up to all the monitors, and I don't have my memories when I wake up. I woke up, and I didn't have any clue where I was, what was going on, or what the hell was happening to me, or the fact I'd had surgery, because I couldn't feel any pain from all the painkillers. I woke up in the recovery room and it took 5 nurses to hold me down, because you probably can't tell from me. I'm quite a big guy. I'm 6'3", and it took nurses leaping on top of me, trying to hold me down as I was trying to wrestle my way off the bed, saying, "What are you?" Think that scene in Total Recall where they trip his memory implant. That was kind of me in the hospital.
Good God.
So it took a while. They had to explain what had happened for me to calm down.
I had a similar hospital experience when I first became diabetic. He says, drinking, Mr. Pibb. I'm a good diabetic, as you can tell. So I was 7 when I was first diagnosed with diabetes, maybe just turning 8. And in the hospital, I had a drip fed into my arm, like a little needle that gave me fluids. And I woke up randomly in the middle of the night, needing to use the facilities. Lightning striking in my kitchen would be.
I would. Yeah, I'd be worried about lightning striking through the window into the into the laundry, not laundry, into the washing up basket. Sorry, Dom, you were saying.
Yeah, I had to unplug my drip and go to the bathroom. So I did. I didn't realize I was leaking fluids. I was bleeding all over the ground, and it's kind of like a Nightmare on Elm Street scenario. I was walking up and down this abandoned. I thought that's a Dom's place. Does it say it's Don's?
Don,
right?
Don with an N. Yeah.
So yeah, empty children's hospital, a literal flickering light, and I'm walking up and down the halls looking for the bathroom, and I turn around and see blood just all over the floor. And I'm like, oh my God, what is happening? For some reason, I look up at the ceiling as though that would explain, yes, blood is just dripping from the ceiling. And that's when I noticed that I was the source of all the blood.
Pretty terrible. So where did they find it? So as we can see here, this is an 80s stereotype bar, as they would have been known.
Where all 80s stereotypes congregate.
Yes.
I wish I could get bar service that quickly at a bar.
I'm harking back to Bill and Ted, where they comment to each other about no ID required.
We need to remember this place.
Yeah. Why is he pouring a beer into a tumbler like that?
I don't know.
And he's not pouring the beer correctly. He's angling the glass. And...
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Oh, that would suck though, getting caught by your gym teacher in a bar and then having to run laps around the gym.
His teacher's got his own problems.
Yeah, clearly. I can almost
Dougie Lee
smell
Curtis
the gym
says,
hall.
What teenager doesn't walk to the leather bar when they can't sleep?
Do it all the time.
This is a scene I do kind of struggle with, because the teacher dressed in his bondage gear meets him in an underage bondage bar. Well, it meets an underage student in a bondage bar, takes him back to the school, makes him run around and get all sweaty, and then shower.
Does regular, like, stock take? So strange.
I don't... The point is that the teacher, obviously the teacher has some kind of fetishes of some kind, which is all fine and dandy. No judgments here on anyone's above the law fetish. If it's an above the law fetish, rock on, no problem with that. But what is the end goal of the teacher here? Is it to interfere with Jesse? Is that what we're saying here? Or is he just... Or is this an S&M thing where he's punishing him and he's getting sexual gratification because he doesn't appear to be? This is what I found a bit muddled about the film.
Yeah. This is the one kill where it's like, why is any of this happening? But what that does add to the film, because I've only just started questioning it, the scene where he was in the bar and he met the teacher, I was on board.
Yeah.
And that speaks for the dreamlike nature of this film. There are loads of films that do have a very dreamlike quality to them, where it just goes from scene to scene to scene. And it's only when we get closer to reality where you start questioning, like, why is he here in the middle of the night? It doesn't make much sense.
Well, I can accept Jesse might be marching around in the middle of the night because he's semi-possessed, but...
Yes. But going to school.
Yeah, like Mad Matt says...
Him to school.
Yeah, Mad Matt says caught him drinking alcohol and is disciplining him.
It's the parents' job, or the law's job. Not...
I don't get it, though, because surely the teacher would not... And a teacher wouldn't have the authority to I don't
Take you to
know.
school after hours. No.
No. This does go in a very different direction to the Soul Search and Destroy. I'm not even reading that one out. That's too bad a pun.
I'm trying to picture the writing room where they say, "Oh yeah, the towels just float and
Smack him
give
on
him
the
a
bum.
whole whipping."
Yeah. So is this also the teacher knows who that is? Being an older person, does he know that that's Fred Krueger? I'll give you points, Soul Search, but I'm not reading that one out. That's just weird. That
I do like the premise of Freddy acting through
Jesse.
through Jesse.
Yeah.
Does this belong to you?
After the last scene, I don't want to talk about people being kept on leashes.
Yeah, that's enough S&M.
Yes.
We've reached our quota.
That's a really good point, though, Sharon. It's the just under the surface tone that was shocking at the time, not addressed at all in much of the 80s mainstream. That's true, because our concept, sort of S&M and bondage and whatever, again, I'll hold my hands up and say it's not something I'm into, but hey, if it floats your boat, that's cool. But what I would say is that it was a lot more taboo back then.
This is a better reason for barring the windows as well.
Yeah, it really
the reasoning
is.
in the first film was it was really difficult to side with the mom on barring the windows, because it was just like she's scared. Here it's he's a danger to himself. You're out of your gourd. I need to add that to my lexicon.
I mean, an interesting thing I would raise here is, did some of this have any influence on sort of Hellraiser with Hellbound Heart and Clive Barker? I mean, let's be honest, Hellraiser is probably a very much an S&M film.
Yeah.
Because even the Cenobites, the whole point is it's about sexual pleasure and pain. But this came beforehand, so maybe this was taking the first steps towards that kind of content in sort of horror films.
Could be. You have to remember, though, in the first Hellraiser movie, the villains were Frank and is it Julia? I want to say Julia. Cenobites were just a force of nature.
But it was all about pleasure and pain and sexual pleasure, etc.
Fine line between the two.
Yeah.
There has to be a novelization of this movie. Has to be.
I'm sure there is.
I am interested in reading it if there is.
You can tell it's the 80s. Look at those blue denim jeans.
Ah, yes. Everyone sleeps in blue denim jeans. It's the most comfortable thing to sleep in.
I'm sorry to say, if I was Jesse, I would be actually looking for help earlier than this.
I'm trying to think if I would be.
Yeah, I'd be.
Knowing, I mean, I have walked in my past, and almost immediately after, like, I'm conscious and someone's told me, yeah, you went and did all this weird stuff in your sleep, I was embarrassed and just wanted to forget it happened.
Mm. It's only a murder house. Nothing bad happened here.
When I buy my next house, I will ask, how many murders happened here? And can I get a discount per murder?
No. What's your, Dom, what is your threshold for the minimum number of murders to have been committed before you'd...
I need details. I need to know who these people were, if they're going to be fun ghosts.
Yes. Could it be built on an ancient Indian burial ground by chance?
Even better.
Yes.
That's strange. One even plugged in.
I'm admiring her incredibly generic pieces of art in the kitchen.
Ah, yes. Art by artist. I'm always jealous of the kids' cars in the Nightmare on Elm Street movies. They always have such fine yet battered automobiles.
Oh, no, I don't know, because Kristen has a very desirable Mark II Golf convertible, Golf GTI Cabriolet in Elm Street 3 and 4 in Elm Street 4 from memory.
Yeah, I think it's just 4 because she's already in the.
Yeah, she's in the home in number 1 and 3. Okay. This also changes things a bit. Fred Krueger worked here. It's an old power plant, but I thought he was the janitor at the school.
Yeah, I thought it was too.
In the later stories.
Maybe he moonlighted and worked here.
I don't know, maybe he had 2 jobs.
There were tough times. This is a very cool location, though. Whoever scouted this is awesome.
We're going to see RoboCop come around the corner in a minute going, Clarence!
Yeah.
Actually, do you know the supercut I want to see on this abandoned sort of steel mill? This scene with Footloose and Kevin Bacon dancing in the steel mill, dancing his rage off, cutting between the two of them, between them talking about this.
Freddy's there.
Yep. This scene of them looking around really scared, and he's there flipping and...
Just in the background.
Oh, Sharon wants to know, is there going to be a watch party for RoboCop on the horizon? I will tell you now, Sharon, there will be one as part of the Summer of Popcorn 2 this summer.
One of my all-time favorite movies.
Yes.
We don't talk about the sequels.
What sequels?
Or the miniseries. Or the
TV show.
Yeah. That's kind of a cute rat. Come on. Didn't do anything nefarious, just kind of looked up. I think rats get a bad rap. Well, then again, they are disease-carrying monsters. But they're not screech worthy. This is a cool shot, actually.
It is.
Like a POV, almost Evil Dead, like, of the evil rising up from the boiler room. And I can't help but think of oatmeal stairs every time I see those stairs.
Okay, so as we're carrying on through this, I asked a question at the start of this watch party, and we're about halfway through, just over halfway through this movie now. You know the answer, Dom, but obviously not going to reveal it yet. What's next week's watch party of this two-part Turkey in March season for unloved stepchildren of the franchises? Let's see if anyone can guess. I'll field your answers. If anyone's right, I'll tell you.
Well, we could give them a few hints.
No,
right?
no clues
movie.
Yet. Okay, sci-fi movie, that's all. Okay, now he's taking... Now this is another Elm Street trope, popping caffeine pills. Yeah, don't mess with caffeine pills. I was very... No, it's not Howard the Duck. It's not the first... It's not the first... No, it's not an overlooked gem, Sharon. It's not the first part of a series. I'll tell you that. Regarding caffeine pills, when I was young, I did something really stupid on a dare. I used to be that kid who'd do... No, it's not Maniac Cop 2. We've done Halloween 3 already. Dapper Bard Games and Retrohawks' Alien 3. It's not. Eric says Star Trek 2. No. That we've already done Star Trek 2. So going back to the story about caffeine pills, when I was younger, I was the idiot growing up, the 20-year-old idiot, the 19-year-old idiot, whereby people dare me to drink a bottle of chili sauce, and I drink a bottle of chili sauce, that kind of stuff. Someone dared me once to take 96 Pro Plus tablets in one sitting, which are caffeine pills.
God, they wanted you dead, didn't they? No,
I took them.
Explode.
I took them all in one go, and I didn't sleep for, I think, nearly a week afterwards.
Oh my God.
I didn't end up in hospital, Sharon, no, but I just ended up being unable to sleep literally for over 7 days. And I was screaming, crying at night because I couldn't sleep, yet I was so tired. I don't recommend doing it. No, it's not Superman 3, Dougie. It's not Halloween 2, and it's not Critters 4. Yeah, Onzi, I was very lucky it didn't give me a heart attack. I was very stupid. So
the longest I've been awake has been like 72 hours. And then I was falling asleep practically standing up. I went on a school trip. Mr. Wonderful. I need that chef's apron.
This is wonderful.
Yes. Well, I'm on a school trip to Prague, and my bunkmate was the loudest snorer I've ever had the misfortune to bunk with. So I didn't get a wink's sleep in the first night bunking. The second night, I think we were traveling a bunch, and again, no sleep. Then the third day, we went to so much new Coke. I wonder why.
But he's got to get rid of all. He's got to get rid of all of it.
Yeah, got to get rid of it all of it somehow. Went to an art museum and we sat down briefly, and I blinked, woke up like 30 minutes later. Everyone was gone. They'd left me. And I caught them just as they were leaving the art gallery. And most people were none the wiser.
Anna Rose, that's a good point. Was the film sponsored by New Coke? I don't believe it was.
This much product placement, I can't imagine there wasn't any kind of sponsorship. There has to have been some
I don't
deal.
know, because I don't think Coca-Cola would want them, because at the time people were starting to turn on caffeine. Because one of the things that came out around this time in the years leading up to this, because again, this is from the documentary I saw the other day, were caffeine-free colas, clear colas like Crystal Pepsi and all the others, and Tab as well. Tab Clear.
Good old Tab.
All these things were there. So I don't know if Coca-Cola would necessarily want their product framed as a stay awake aid. There we go. Sharon saying, is anyone close to guessing next week's movie? No, not yet.
Those earrings look so heavy.
I remember that as a kid, though, even before taking caffeine pills on dares, I remember being able to stay up till 4 o'clock in the morning, go to bed and be up at 10 o'clock and have a great weekend. And now, no, it's not weird science,
9 p.m.
Yep, exactly. It's genuine sci-fi, Sharon. She doesn't get sci-fi or sci-fi horror crossover. It's pure sci-fi.
That's right. It's extra too. No.
Oh, it's the parents have got all that dreadful sort of 80s, early 80s faux Asian decor.
I'm thinking a lot of TerraVision when I see that decor.
Yeah.
And I know that my sister's boyfriend at the time, a guy who was called Mike Skinner, started a band called The Streets.
So just to chip in for a sec, right? So they're waiting for the parents' bedroom light to go off. Now they're going to raise merry hell outside with beer and loud music. Yet they think it's not going to cause them to be, you know...
Yeah, they got the green light.
Exactly. Soul Search and Destroy says, will it be one of the films featured in Search of Tomorrow? I don't believe it's at this one is actually in Search of Tomorrow, is it, Dom? No, it's not.
I don't think so.
No, I don't believe it is. James says, I still hold extra against Dom. It was offensively bad. And Sharon wants to know, have we seen another movie in the series, Andrew? Yes, we have.
Mm-hmm.
Mad Matt says, 30-year-old kids are so stupid.
Yeah.
That's right.
When will they learn?
When will they learn? Ugh. Beyond
I'm holding
Thunderdome,
back so many
Calbot.
vulgar...
No. Sharon gets it. Sharon has got it. It is Star Trek V.
Yay.
We'll get through this together, everyone.
I do want to go to that party, though. That pool looks so pleasant. I would be freaked out.
You can confirm that's an 80s. That is definitely an 80s boy's bedroom because it's got the abstract kind of wallpaper, a tubular painted red bed, and a picture of a sports car on the wall. Yes, Onzi, we did watch the Voyage Home a long time ago.
What did I think he had a race car bed? I don't know why.
Because you want a race car bed, Dom.
Yeah, every time I'd go through IKEA as a kid and I'd see the race car bed, I'd ask my mum, can I get one? Being a 30-year-old teenager as well, I'd always want a race car.
Yeah. James Hellier saying he loves The Final Frontier. You can actually see that the actor playing Jesse has his ear pierced there.
Oh, yeah.
How did he get into his friend's house without the guy's parents or a key or anything? And also, why is his really cool friend not at the pool party with all the other kids? Sorry, 30-year-old men.
I was going to say 30-year-old kids. Yeah.
Yeah, 30-year-old kids.
Why was he so chill about being woken up by having a hand pressed over his face?
Yeah.
Again, I would not be that calm about this situation. Like, dude, get out of my house. Leave me alone.
Start to act weird.
You broke into my house.
Yes.
We're well beyond weird now.
Broke into my house. You smothered me on my face. And something you can see really clearly there, right? They've bought the wrong kind of ketchup to the party. It's a bottle of Kraft ketchup, I believe, and no one's had any, which is the right thing to do because when it comes to ketchup, there is only Heinz.
Yeah. God, in the early 2000s, Heinz and Paramount? No, DreamWorks got together and released a green Shrek ketchup. It was very strange.
Sharon's right, it was done in the early days of watch parties, but Voyage Home may be redone at some future point. But we've got plenty of other movies to be getting through, but we will be revisiting some old favourites at some point.
I was about to say how weak he is for falling asleep this early. And then I remembered he's been trying to stay awake for days.
Sharon saying green ketchup was a delicacy. Sharon, in the UK for a while, they released purple ketchup.
Yep. Oh, wait. Does he have leather sheets or something? That looked weird.
Are they satin or silky satin?
Oh, this scene.
Call an ambulance.
Mm-hmm.
Do the responsible thing. Okay, your friend is turning into Wolverine. Get out the room.
Oh. Oh.
Get out the room.
Hey, he's trying at least. It's weird. His whole crotch area is totally invisible. It's like he's just a torso and legs.
Yes.
It's really good special effects, that. Oh.
While Lamal watches on.
Mm-hmm.
But he's too shy for the events. So his parents are in the house and they didn't hear Jesse break in the house.
Yeah, this is some of the most horrifying bits of the whole Nightmare on Elm Street franchise. What is your favorite Nightmare on Elm Street kill?
Oh, favorite Elm Street kill. I think I quite like the fight between Freddy and Alice's brother in Elm Street 4, the martial art fight.
Yeah.
Because it kind of shows Freddy can match people.
Yeah.
Eric, that's a good one, but that is a very easy one that a lot of people would have picked. Eric said the TV kill, Welcome to Primetime Bitch Killing number 3.
Mm-hmm. Oh.
What is it? So Jesse actually did kill his friend.
Mm-hmm.
Harking back to Star Trek, it's the old Star Trek thing where you can kill people, but if you say an alien presence was possessing your body, it's okay.
Yeah, you're innocent of the crimes.
Yeah.
Well, legal eagles tell me if I'm wrong, but technically, surely it's manslaughter without the means, the meaning, the mental
grounds of
reasoning to do it.
Some kind of grounds of insanity, isn't it? But
I physically did it, but I didn't mentally do it.
Dapper Bard Games says their favorite Elm Street kill is the blood geyser from the first.
I was about to say, Blood Fountain is probably my favorite kill as well.
But what I
Either
don't
that or
get is
the
why.
Dungeon Master from Part 3, because Dungeon Masters deserve to be killed sometimes.
See, no one's touched that bottle of Kraft ketchup. No one wants it.
All the cola as well. It's
All the colas. So much new Coke.
There was this weird blue can that someone was just drinking from.
I think it was a beer.
So clearly, it was better than.
My God, what happened?
Walking into a house just covered in blood and just like. And Jesse is one of the nightmare protagonists that
Yes.
I can put myself in the headspace of far easier than the others, mainly because he's so human about everything that's going on. This is terrifying, and he's reacting as you'd expect a 30-year-old teenager would.
Yeah. The only thing I don't understand is why Freddy would be wanting to put Jesse into these situations. Because if Jesse is acting as his conduit to the real world for killing, he would not want to risk Jesse being arrested for and put in prison where he couldn't carry on acting as a conduit. So I don't understand Freddy's motives here.
Potentially, yes, the very blood-colored blood. The only thing I can think of is he would be trying to raise enough awareness of Freddy to burst forth and do what he's about to do.
Now, this is
I believe
something
you have a tidbit about this.
About this, yes. One of my very nerdy friends. I'll get to it in just a second. So, Dougie Lee Curtis saying she's remarkably calm after he tells her he's on a killing spree. And Lizardman says, warm up the jacuzzi, boys. Well, okay, I guess we'll have to say maybe it's supernatural powers. I'm not sure. But one of my friends who's a bit of a science nerd, because we see basically the swimming pools start boiling. Well, aside from the fact that the controls for the pool wouldn't let it go that hot, my friend worked out the energy required to boil that much water in the pool in an amount of time where it wouldn't lose sufficient energy to stop boiling. And it would effectively be a small nuclear reactor's worth of power that would be required.
If you actually look in the background of this scene, you can see that someone's been talking to, oh God, what are the demons called in Evil Dead?
Mm-hmm.
Kasha Thwanians or something.
So the parents have been asleep while there's a party of middle-aged adults outside, drinking beer and having loud music and setting fire to the barbecue. But someone shutting a door wakes them from their sleep. Yeah,
naturally. Cheering, applause, other noise. Nah, nonsense. But the closing of a door.
Yeah, Lizard Man says, so this is the new villain power, the power to lock windows from the inside.
Such an evil power.
Yeah.
The poor fish, what do they do? Power of lamp.
I've got a pun. I guess you could say in this moment that Freddy wishes he had Jesse's girl.
Oh.
Okay, I'll leave.
Oh. Grab your coat. But
you see this. You see the secret is the joke's on Freddy, because Freddy goes after kids, and these are all 30-year-old to middle-aged adults.
I love how none of these beefy dudes can break a very thin glass pane. when you delicately tap on it, that's the fine china, you dirtbag.
Yeah, I don't get this. He just goes, ugh. I thought she was going to go
Nick.
back and just knock something on the floor. Right. Don't hold the knife. Okay, there. Handle's fine. She was holding it with a blade almost at one point. Yes, Jedi Wizard, there was cake, and the cake is going to waste. Well, that's not how you stab someone.
Yeah, put your back into it. Come on.
I know, Soul Search and Destroy. That pun was terrible.
Mm-hmm. He's so much more psychologically manipulative.
The glove. Look at the glove as well. It's not.
Yeah, it's organic.
Well, this is much more like the glove. Well, the glove that we saw in Wes Craven's New Nightmare, where it was more of an organic thing.
See, look how easy it is to break through the entire door.
To break through the door and then disappear.
Oh yeah, they were boiling alive. I was about to say, why do they need so much help to get out? Wait, no, they weren't boiling alive.
Well, it kind of was. It was supposed to be boiling the water, but they aren't very burnt or scalded. I mean, look, that guy with the blonde hair in the middle.
Yeah,
he's back in the. He's got his job in the insurance office where he's manager of to go back to in the morning.
Yeah, he was pushing like 40s. Ooh. And this is probably Freddy is most powerful as well, like being so ruthless, taking so many lives in such a small span.
I just want the parents to turn to each other and say, well, you know how we feared that our children would find out about the serial killer we burnt alive in his boiler, and then he would be resurrected by harvesting the souls of our children. Yes, well, that's happening now.
Darn. See, that one wasn't even a Freddy kill.
No.
I like how she's kind of annoyed. The mum's like, yeah, fine, okay, whatever.
Yeah, but why are the parents not calling the police?
We all know this guy, the one guy who'd be like, oh yeah, I would have just, talked him down.
I want some damn children, not 40-year-old men.
Yeah. Can you please show me where the kids are? Here's the line.
Yes.
Oh, wow. The way he's waving around that gun gives me anxiety.
He was like, I wanted some of that bean dip.
Why didn't you hit the Kraft ketchup?
Maybe that's Freddy's weakness, off-brand ketchup.
Oh, it's all of our weaknesses.
Yes. James is saying to do the Wrath of Khan again. One day we will, but we've done that one quite recently, as in last summer. So it will be done again at some point. We've got a lot of very good movies lined up for you guys.
Oh, yeah. We've got some good ones.
Phonics saying, Guy has a whole cabinet full of guns and he cannot shoot. Wow.
Maybe he just really didn't like that bean dip and he just wanted an excuse to get rid of it.
Exactly.
She just hijacked Jesse's car.
And now this needs to be mashed up with RoboCop, with the scene where they're driving into the steel mill for the final. Freddy, as he's throwing the as he's marching across the.
She needs to run over. I always forget his name. Emil. Mutant Emil.
Yes, that would be brilliant.
Oh, in a convertible, it just splashes over. Oh, I forgot about this thing.
If I recall, when they made this, yes, they did something that I think this wouldn't be allowed anymore now. They basically put masks on Rottweilers. It's very similar to the actually appalling way that they created Muffet in the original Battlestar Galactica series. It was a chimpanzee in a dog suit.
Oh.
Yes, I'm glad that animal welfare in movies has moved on somewhat.
Definitely. Oh, this is a cool location, though. The colors as well, it's very giallo, just having these bright greens and reds. I mean,
don't get me wrong, so it's a fantastic looking location.
What could possibly make these hues?
That's just the lighting. I mean, if it's a steel mill, I can tell you something quite interesting. Strange enough, in my distant dark past, I worked in IT. When I was starting off my career in IT, I worked for a British company called British Steel, who were the national steel mill company, doing IT there. And I was in one of the offices talking to a health and safety manager, who explained to me, because he was reading like a health and safety newspaper for the industry, and just chatting with me as I was doing some work. And he explained to me what happens when you fall into a vat of molten steel or aluminium or similar metal. You don't get burnt by it.
You drown?
No, you're burnt by the moisture, by a superheated layer of steam as the moisture in your body boils, and it forms a superheated layer of steam around your body, protecting you effectively from the molten metal.
Cool. And horrifying.
Well, yeah, because he explained a story about a man who, it was in this newspaper, basically, he fell into a vat of molten steel and managed to pull himself out and died a few days later in hospital. But like I say, he said, none of the steel actually sticks to you.
Oh, well, there's that.
No, it's pretty terrible.
I like how each creature that comes out, it just has this grotesque nightmare version.
You're welcome, Sharon.
Again, very dreamlike.
It is.
The blending of the dream world and the real world is so much more fluid in this movie than any other.
It really is, but it verges on being a bit confusing.
Yes, very much so. I'm sure the David Lynch fans out there appreciate this, though.
Eric, no, apparently you don't explode when you fall into boiling metal. It's because the steam can escape. Okay, let's have a question now. Let's lift the mood a bit as we're getting towards the end of this very strange but enjoyable film. Who is your favorite Elm Street heroine? So we've got Lisa here. Jesse's, he's not really the hero of the film here, is he? He's sort of the victim who needs to be saved. So we've got Lisa here. We've got Nancy, of course. We've got Kristen, Was it Kirsten? Kristen,
I believe.
Kristen. And we've got Alice. Who is your favorite? And why?
So I remember having this discussion as a kid, and I always said Nancy.
Oh,
because she survives 1, 2, technically.
Yeah, she's
and
somewhere
most of 3.
There's a lot of people with a lot of love for Nancy. Doug E. Lee Curtis says Nancy is the best heroine. Hannah says Nancy, but Sally is growing on her. Eric says Nancy, she made the most impact. Oh,
she was also a protagonist that wasn't just offed unceremoniously in the sequel.
I'm going to go with Alice. Alice is the most powerful because she's the Dream Master. And she's one of the only ones to survive. Cleanly, she beats him outright.
Yeah, but she didn't come back to save the kids. Nancy does.
Yeah, but she dies quite easily. She's tricked by it, but Freddy tricks her and kills her in the end.
Yeah. I'm a sucker for someone who has self-sacrifice.
Yeah, but I'm just thinking of that cool battle at the end of Elm Street 4 with Nancy, where she's got like all her friends' powers, punches a hole in the wall, and rips the power cable in the church into that device her clever friend built. That's just awesome.
Oh, this gruesome melting of Freddy as well. Speaking of fluidity. This also is the nightmare film that's the closest to a dream.
It's very unusual because this one really, most of this film, you're unsure which is real. Yeah. What's real and what's a dream. If you look at the other Elm Street, the later Elm Street films, it's fairly clear what's happening in the real world.
It is weird, though. The first film, Wes Craven went out of his way to hire actively young people to play the teens. I must have forgotten about that.
Sharon's saying, fire wouldn't kill Freddy if fire made him who he was in the beginning, but this is cool to see him burn. It's unusual because
if we go by Freddy versus Jason rules, then
the problem is Freddy dies there's no definitive way as to what Freddy's powers limited as.
I like how in part 3 they have a definitive way of defeating him, and then
dog urine can revive him.
Yeah, dog urine that brings him back.
Well, you better be careful, Dom, with your puppy at the moment before Freddy resurrects in your bedroom or something.
Oh, it's about right. Yeah, it's going to happen. Luckily, he doesn't urinate in my bedroom. Going to be just on the walk in a park somewhere, and he'll be there. I was like, oh, damn it. Bones. Oh, no, his name is Bones as well.
Oh, dear. See a DeLorean back out in front of them right now, nearly hit them.
It's okay, it'll come from the sky.
Yeah. What about the fallout from the fact he murdered his friend and there would be evidence he murdered his friend? Because as it was seen, the murders in the real world were done, well, at least his friend's murder was done by him as himself.
Yeah.
Let's not jinx it.
Yeah, let's not talk about it. The cops are going to be asking questions soon. We need to keep quiet.
Yes. Damn guy's a maniac.
He's going 45 in a 30 zone.
Yeah. I'm going to say something else as well. I did actually ride a bus to school when I moved to Wales because I live too far away. So like last 2 years of my schooling. But like Jesse, well, when I was 17, when I was 17, I got my first car. I can assure you, I stopped taking the bus.
Yeah.
Lizard Man says, "Don't make me tap the sign." And there we go. That was Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2, Freddy's Revenge. Dom, it's a film with a lot of, I don't know, I like it. I shouldn't like it. I don't know why. I'm very mixed about this film because it is the most non-Nightmare Elm Street film.
For sure. I'm going to say this. I enjoy the film quite a lot, but then again, my taste in films is up for debate. However, mildly controversially, I think it would be fine without being a Freddy film, without being a Nightmare on Elm Street film.
It very much feels like almost like another film that became a Freddy film.
Yeah. In the same way that Halloween 3 was a totally different movie. Imagine a world where each Nightmare on Elm Street film had totally different reasons for having Freddy pop up and different ways of introducing that nightmare into reality.
Yeah. So, I mean, we've got some good comments from our community, and please, as we're winding up here, let's see what you have to say. Soul Search and Destroy on YouTube says, Dom, if it had a different villain, who would it be?
That is the question. I would be perfectly fine with a completely different villain. If it's the same kind of thing of someone puppeteering another to kill, I think it would have been interesting to have a Nightmare on Elm Street
as a franchise.
Yeah,
almost like an anthology series. Yeah, I agree with you. So going through some of the community comments we've got here, Dougie Lee Curtis saying, as fast as the sequel came out, my thought is that another script was reworked to be a Nightmare on Elm Street sequel. That's quite possible. Yeah. And then we've got a load of people saying, great discussion. Thank you, Sharon. Bikey says, got to go with most on this, pretty so-so. Lizardman's saying Dom is sort of suggesting a Godzilla Millennium era continuity where every movie is basically a new version of the character with new rules. Okay. Hannah says,
I love my Godzilla films as well.
Okay. Sparky John says it's not one of my favorites, but it's not the worst. Onzi really enjoyed it because it's very brutal, but with it's a very brutal movie with Freddy in it. Jedi Wizard said overall meh, but it has some interesting elements. Lizardman says, I think it's a decent enough movie, but just maybe it should have been for another character. Just rattling through the comments, forgive me if I miss you out. Hannah Rose says, not the strongest film in the franchise, but it has some strong, solid moments, a few good kills, and some creepy moments of world building. Calbot says, I do think the scariest thing in that movie, though, was that couch. I have now become obsessed with it. Lizard Man agrees with what Hannah has said, and Edward the Black Prince says, true, I agree with what you're saying here, Edward. The title I never understood. Who he gets revenge on, overall, it's not the worst, but it's not one of the best. It has some dark moments. I'd agree. It's a very mixed. It's an oddity in the Elm Street franchise. Is probably the best way I'd describe it.
What's even odder is that it didn't kill the franchise.
No, but it makes you wonder if Nightmare on Elm Street 3 going in such a different direction, and it was Elm Street 3 is the Star Trek 2 of the franchise.
For sure. Definitely.
If you see what I'm saying, it's the one that drew the blueprint going forwards and established continuity, etc. And it's the first chapter in what you would refer to as the Elm Street trilogy, where you've got the Dream Warriors, the Dream Master, and then the Dream Child. So it's it's good. So next week, I'm sorry everyone, I'm going to punish you. We're going to get through this next week. We are embarking to the final frontier. We are going to watch Star Trek V.
I will try my best not to speak like Shatner for the whole thing.
Oh, God. Yes. Sparky John says we ask why God needs a spaceship, a starship. Star Trek V, The Final Frontier. And as someone said earlier, why does God need a watch party? That's going to be the question next week. So everybody, please stay safe, look after each other, be kind, and just, stay safe. And we'll see you all in 7 days for Star Trek V, The Final Frontier. Please bring snacks, because it's going to be a rough one.
If you have ketchup, remember, have Heinz, or else Freddy will come to your barbecue and make sure that you have the correct ketchup. Exactly. No off-brand ketchup for Freddy Krueger. An important lesson for life. Life lessons. Exactly. Everyone, stay safe, and we'll see you in 7 days. Bye-bye.